Okay, so this is video 3. Okay. So as we said, the culture of antimatter is a consciousness. It's a consciousness or a culture because they live a certain way. Just like the people, who are to stay positive following Musa, Isa, the one born of a virgin, or Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or alayhi salam to the other prophets. They were given manuals how they can live in this world. Where those of antimatter, or let's say blue blood, brotherfuckers, they have a manual too. And it goes against everything we are to do. Subhanallah. Okay? It goes against everything we are supposed to do. And everything they do, basically, is everything we're not to do. Okay? But because right now, in the world today, most of the time, humanity is following the brotherfuckers. How many of humanity is adhering to their cultural norms, the consciousness that produces matter, that sustains matter? Ask yourself. You can be your own judge now, right? You can judge your own, actions and deeds and determine, based upon this concept of matter and antimatter and energy and polarity and all this kind of stuff, you can evaluate yourself to see whether or not you're destined for hell or destined for Jannah. Because I don't think they're going to have any antimatter particles loose like that who are just totally antimatter in Jannah. I don't think they're going to have that. Anybody who goes against the natural creation of the world is not going to... I imagine is not going to go to Jannah. So you can do your own, and Jannah is, what you call paradise. You can do your own evaluation, okay, at this point. Okay, now, based upon the culture of matter and the culture of antimatter, okay, the culture of indulgence, sinful indulgence and piracy built on aggression and trafficking and stealing other people's land and land grabs and wars and warmongering and, social injustice, racism and oppression of women and, what do you support? Do you support matter, a culture of matter, or do you support a culture of antimatter? Okay? Do you support the history of antimatter, which goes back to, let's say the Vatican and the oppression of many Europeans, to which they came as peasants to this land for a better way of life, But now, want to act as if they're patriotic to a system of oppression, exploitation, abuse, So, you ask yourself, which culture do you support? How are you enabling this life to, mashallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala? How are you, what energy, what charge are you emitting? Are you enabling the culture that manifests matter, or are you enabling the culture that manifests antimatter? White, black, or Mexican, Asian, African, Arab, Indonesian, Hawaiian, Puerto Rican, Spanish, Latino, What's your polarity? Are you matter, or are you antimatter? Are you human or not? You can do your own evaluation. Look at your consciousness and ask yourself. Okay? And guess what? The world of antimatter is being destroyed because there's been a new influx of matter, of energy that produces matter. When the comet Elenon came in and Ison came in, they released positive energy, positive ions, okay, into this world. And now they're starting to drift in. Remember I told you in previous videos, I said be ready for the induction of energy. Be ready for the induction of energy or karma. Well, be ready for karma or the induction, positive or negative, the induction of energy. Well, with the karma is the positive return or a negative return. You get what you put out there. If you emit it antimatter, then antimatter energy is going to come back. Okay? And, okay? And cause a lot of destruction in one's life. But if they lived a life emitting positive energy, positive ions, positive, let's just say, emitting positive energy, okay? Then, you know, positive energy is going to come back, and then they're going to have that big energy rush, positive energy, and be really creative, and all the, well, let's put it this way, that third eye opens up, the chakra opens up, and they awake, right? They consciously begin to have to understand the everything theory, where everything comes together, right? Because everything does come together. Everything is linked, right? So then the one who has the chakra open, you know, they're going to have the everything theory. But those who with antimatter, they're not going to have their chakra open. Trust and believe, they won't. And the reason why, because they can't ascend, right? Okay. Now, they may have some knowledge, but they won't, you know, they won't have like the person who's has a consciousness structured, you know, a consciousness. They will have the structure of consciousness that manifests, you know, matter. Okay. So as we said, they can't exist simultaneously. Okay, and they can't exist in this world simultaneously. Okay. Now, as we said, we talked about CERN. Okay. And they want power over this world because they can't live in here freely. They just can't live in our world freely. They can't breathe our air. That's why they're destroying our environment. Where are you going to live? What are you going to eat? That's why they're changing your food. That's why they want to talk about you being a hybrid. You want chromosomes from a hybrid? You want chromosomes like this? You want chromosomes like that? Chromosomes that make you walk faster. Chromosomes that make you run faster. Chromosomes that make you think like a computer. Chromosomes of an animal. Chromosomes of this. Chromosomes of that. Yeah, make you a hybrid so that you will be able to, you know, exist in an antimatter, a world constructed on antimatter energy. Right? Okay. But they tell you something's wrong with your world. No, your world is perfect. Kind of perfect for you. Okay, but they can't live here. Okay, so they can't live in your world. It is most, as we said, comparable to the prophets when he, you know, the knowledge of the how to maintain this positive world. It's like the teachings of all the prophets that came and told us how to live in our world, and that is, we live in our world, tell us how to live so that we could release positive energy, and our environment would absorb that energy. It wouldn't be breaking down like it is today, right? Our environment is breaking down because humanity is not releasing the energy that it should be, and it's allowing, you know, those like blue bloods to destroy the environment, and we're basically condoning, acting as we're scared to challenge them, to tell them to stop. We're too scared to even open our mouth to say stop. We're too scared to even protect it from the kids because we think they have some type of power. Their authority to make law in the world. We have to be obedient to their law. We're too scared to even to recognize the fact that they have no power. You know, and to stand united. We're too damn scared, too fucking damn scared to open our mouth. So they'd rather die than open their mouth and say stop. Okay? You'd rather die than open your mouth. Go to concentration camp. Eat genetically altered food rather than to say stop. Okay? Now, okay. So, you know, we'd rather be scared and watch them traffic the kids and rape the kids and starve the kids and blow up the world and cause genetic deformities with depleted uranium than to say stop. Rather go to war, even though we know people the people who they're killing don't even deserve death, but we're too scared to say stop. But nonetheless, Supposed to be the home of the brave, land of the free. Always willing to go kill somebody else, but not willing to stand up and say, tell your government, stop. Not willing to do that. Because you're too scared. You think they have the divine right to lead. They don't. Stand up before you have nothing. Stand up before you have motherfucking, brotherfucking nothing. Because that's where they're going. That's where they're aiming. And now it's your time to stand up. And you won't be breaking no law. You won't be scared of going to no jail. You have a right, a divine right, to exercise your free will of your atomic particles. How they're emitted. That is your free will. You don't have the right to control the universe. People think free will is the right to control the universe. Do what I want, say what I want, when I want, how I want, eat what I want. No, you don't. You have the choice to either do it or not. That's your only choice. Yes or no. You have only two choices. Yes or no. You have two balls. Yes or no. Okay? Okay. Now, so, but you don't have the, you only have the power, the free will, to exercise your atomic structure, your atomic power. Okay? Now, atomic power as it relates to, you know, your energy composition. Okay? Now, so, now, as I say, the physical world of matter is opposed to the world of antimatter. It must, and in order to exist, for antimatter to exist, antimatter culture to exist in a culture that matters, it has to alter that consciousness. It has to alter that world. And that's what you got going on today. But because this is basically new. Well, it's not new science because the prophets taught about it all the time. People just didn't believe them. Because they didn't understand, because they couldn't understand it on an atomic level. You couldn't tell the people of, let's say, during the time of prophet born of a virgin, that we have two atom particles. Okay? We have two atomic particles. And those two atomic particles came together. And if we emit those atomic particles from our body, it's going to change our natural environment. I don't think people were wise enough to be able to understand that. The atomic particles weren't discovered until what? I don't know when. But not during that time. Okay? So what I'm saying is now humanity has graduated, you know, it has enough intellect to be able to understand how, you know, what the prophets were talking about. You know, we have to decipher that for ourselves now. We have to learn and grow for ourselves now. I mean, it's all over internet. That's why they want to control the internet, to keep you stupid. By saying, my son was bullied on the internet. Let's regulate the entire internet in the whole world so that my son to protect, under the guise of protecting children. Okay, you want to protect children, but you heard your son, you stood right next to your husband when he was saying he wants to kill Muslim families. He want to put them in incarceration, but you sitting there just smiling, thinking about you going to be the third lady. But when you get up there, I want to alter the internet because my son was bullied and I want to protect all children. But what? Let them drop depleted uranium on the Muslim children and let the black children be incarcerated on the street, shot in the head on the streets and incarcerated and starved? Uneducated? But you want to care about all children. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Okay? And I bet you if I said something like this, then keep your son off the internet. You think, well, why should I violate his rights and keep him off the internet? I agree with you. You shouldn't. You shouldn't violate his rights and keep him off the internet so he wouldn't have to hear bullying. And bullying shouldn't take place. But you don't have the right to alter my freedom because your son was bullied. You don't have the right to alter my son's freedom because your son was bullied. Because if I tell you keep your son off the internet, you're going to say no. Then you don't have the right to change the internet because your son was bullied. Now, it's unfortunate that he was bullied, and I hope that stops. But in the same damn time, don't violate my rights by trying to think you in a position where you can acclimate that. Or lie to people enough to make them bleed their hearts enough to make them think, oh, we got to do something about this internet. It's just out of control. Well, freedom of speech generally is out of control. Shit. Okay? That's why it's freedom of speech. Okay? Now, like I said, I hope it don't get bullied. But that ain't no reason to alter the internet, okay? To try to shut us down. That's the game. Alter the internet to shut humanity down under the guise of bleeding your heart and feeling sorry for the little boy who was violated, who was bullied. No, but we're not thinking about all the good it's doing, but okay, for the human world, for the whole world, right? No, we're not talking about that. Okay, let's just look at this one incident where her son was bullied, and the whole world is to feel compassionate for him. But she stands right there and don't feel shit for the world. When her drunk is sitting back talking about killing Muslim children and their whole families, but she just sit there like she's drunk on antimatter. Okay? And everything is just, he's saying, is falling out the holes in her brain. Where's her empathy for these children that he's talking about killing, that he's talking about locking up, that he's talking about, we need more police force on the street, more police control on the street? Where's her empathy for that? Okay? No. Black lives matter. Okay? Black lives matter. Human life matters. And I'm saying black lives because black life was made from black matter. Okay? From the consciousness it produces. Okay? That manifests black lives. Human life. Which was manifested from black lives. So black lives matter. Okay? Don't let them alter the internet. Don't be stupid. Don't be fooled by somebody to achieve global domination for a culture of antimatter, to annihilate the human, the natural world, the world that was created for us to live in. Okay, don't be fooled. That's some bullshit. Okay, so as we said now, as we said, okay, so it's consciousness. Okay, no, okay, the one wants to dominate. So one has to dominate, okay? And blue blood is like a subculture, right? It's a subculture, right? But it's trying to be dominant culture. It's trying to take over, right? The world of matter. Okay? So, the characteristic of the culture, okay, they want to take over the character of culture, okay? They want to take over every aspect of consciousness in our world. Now, in the natural world. Now they have to put everything at opposites, right? Male and female at opposites, gender wars. Breaking up in the natural world. We have families. Break up the family structure. Break up the human structure, the human nature to love one another. Categorize that. Break up families. Well, we talked about that. The parent child relationship. Break up that, right? Can't spank your children. Take over the education of the children, right? There's mass indoctrination, right? No, back to this about interfere with the child-parent relationship. Can't spank the children, but the children can talk back, right? Children can overlook what their parents say to them, right? But yet society can kill them, right? Fidelity, right? There's no create a nation of bastards where born out of wedlock, right? And then blame you for it. Then they blame the human race for it. Well, no, you got freedom of decision. It's your choice. No, but they promote it. They advertise it on TV. They make it social norms, right? For people to behave in a way that's, accommodating to those who pirates who want to take over this conscious. These pirates who want to, take over consciousness, right? So these cultural pirates, that's what I call them. Okay. Now, so they want to take that up. They want to take over the consciousness that manifests matter, so they can manifest in their whole new world of antimatter, based upon the consciousness of antimatter, right? So, it is important to plant seeds at this time all through this month, right? While Jupiter is in who is that? The sun is in Sagittarius, right? Because that's where you plant your seeds, right? That's the spot you plant your seeds, because you plant your seeds in the woman, right? So that's the season, that's like the spirit of the woman, right? That spot right there, Sagittarius. And also it's like where, what? Sagittarius represents, you know, the beast, the body of the beast and the head of the man. The consciousness from the physical mind from the conscious mind. That's what Sagittarius represents, as the Sphinx represents that as well. The conscious mind being separated from the body, okay? And the body doesn't have a mind. It yields to its animal nature, right? We eat. It's instinctive, right? What do they call it? It functions on the automatic. I forget what they call it, but it doesn't need a conscious. Okay, it's not. It's the body. It doesn't have a brain, right? It doesn't have a conscious mind. It does what the brain tells it to do, right? Okay. So it's imperative to plant these conscious seeds in the universe at this time, so that we can manifest a consciousness that manifests physical matter. Okay, and we need it abundantly. We need it abundantly. We need it abundantly. We need it abundantly, and we need it now. Okay, put out the 411, the 911, the 611, the 711, the 811, all on manifesting more positive energy or consciousness or energy that manifests positive matter, right? Okay. So that's what you're going to do when you plant those seeds, and that's what you do when you pray. Okay? That's what you do when you pray, and it's imperative. I can't stress to you enough how imperative it is to remain positively charged. So whatever you touch, you charge it positively. You know, just like you know, it said in Islam, when the earth has, you know, wicked people on it, it quakes, because it feels that negative, that charge of antimatter, so it quakes. Imagine putting some antimatter through the person's heart. They're gonna have a heart attack. Well, that's what the earth is doing. It's having an earth attack. When it's quaking like that, the earthquake is an earth attack, and it's got antimatter all around it. So when, you know, you hear places quaking, pray for that place. Ask Allah to send prayer to that place. And since there was only one consciousness that constructed the consciousness that manifests matter, that goes to show you there's only one God. One God. And if there's a consciousness that manifests antimatter, the culture of antimatter, not antimatter, because they don't produce antimatter, they produce a culture of antimatter. That goes to show you there's two entities operating in this world. One of good, because one that wants to add to the quality of life, and one that wants to take away from the quality of life. So there's a spirit of good, and there's a spirit of no good. And the one who created and manifested this world for us to live in naturally, and then sends the books for us to live by, that's the spirit of good. And that's the one we should be following. That's the one the prophets taught, you know. That's the manual the prophets brought for us to live by, to keep us positively in the environment, positively charged, right? Okay, so we got the proper consciousness. Okay, so if we could seek to continue to replicating in this world, okay, then we have to put positive energy back into this. Now, if there's birth defects and all that too, genetic birth defects and things like that, well, look at the energy. Energy produces life. Okay? Now, and let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. White brothers and sisters, while y'all playing that racist game, your time is tapping out, because you're getting at the end of your genetic spectrum. So it's time to plant your seeds. When you get white like you're white, Now, Allah created all natural colors, so for degrees, for us to show us where we are in our spectrum of DNA and time. You better blend with your brothers, because this, this energy induction with a weak genetic genome is going to affect you immensely, and it's going to affect you first. So, when you can't live at the top of the tree, when it's winter, at the top of the tree, snowing, it's best to go down to the roots and live back at the roots. So you need to go back to your roots if you intend to survive. Now, I heard there's a disease out there that's from the water that's attacking white women. That may be the case. Okay? All the antimatter in the soil or in the air, in the environment. I don't know. But there's something out there. Okay? And you white people need to get back with your family. Your human family, because you're human. As long as your energy is that of a human, as it was created, as its consciousness was created, as it was consciously created to structure your matter, you need to get back with your humanity. Now, if you want to survive, okay, you need to plant your seeds, your human seeds, your genome, back into rich soil. Now, if you want extinction, keep on playing this stupid ass racist game and identify with the antimatter consciousness and the antimatter blue bloods and think you're sophisticated for doing it. No, you're only stupid and dumb. That's reality. Okay? Now, it ain't hateful to tell you the truth, that if you keep playing this game, you're going to extinct first. You're going to die. So you better get it real. Go back to your roots. You're human. You're not antimatter. You're not blue bloods. You're not brother fuckers. Okay? You're human. Okay? And you have the potential to be divine, but the antimatter does not. The antimatter culture is going to make you into, shit like they are. It's going to make you into, it's going to mess up your mind, mess up your bodies, mess up your spirits, mess up everything. That's why they want to keep this racism going, so that they can keep, progressing toward a humanity that does not have the ability to open up its consciousness or ascend and get away from their shit, or their melanin won't protect them. You need melanin. I'm glad I got mine. I don't want to look like you. If I was born to look like you, I'd want to look like me. And that's real. Whether you like it or not, get back to your roots. You're human. You're human, just like me, just like the others. Just like you're Mexican, you're Korean, you're Asians, you're Arabs, and stop listening to them blue bloods to kill your brothers because check it out. In their little world of antimatter, you white supremacists, you won't exist because you're human, and they won't like you either. And you know how you know you're human? Because you love women. If you love pussy, you're human. You got more. You're human, and you got very few antimatter. Okay, if you love pussy, you're okay. If you're not like the blue bloods, okay, because they don't love pussy. Antimatter does not love pussy. Okay, and that's not to talk about the homosexual community. Okay, because I'm not for exploiting them. I'm not saying they're not human. I'm not saying, to harm them in any way. I'm not saying that, But I am saying this culture of antimatter is being promoted. okay, is being promoted to make everyone antimatter, homosexual, bisexual, or what have you. I don't want to be homosexual. I don't want to be bisexual. I don't want my children to be bisexual. I don't want my children to be homosexual. And I'm certain there's a lot of people out there that don't. But I'll tell you this much. I have family that are, you know, homosexual. Not by choice. You know? And do I have any ill feelings toward them? No, I don't. I wouldn't want nobody to harm them. And I wouldn't want them to harm anybody. Do I say they're not human? No. They're very much, you know, human. And I don't mean to think about that like they're very much human. No. I don't mean to say that, but, you know, they're going against, you know, the nature, the structure of consciousness that manifests their nature. And that's not their doing. That's just, unfortunately, the way the world, you know, the two consciousness in the world is manifesting, you know, behaviors that affect our DNA. You know, how our DNA structures itself and how our energy restructures itself. So this is not aimed at attacking homosexuals. This is aimed at attacking a consciousness that promotes converting all humanity into bisexuals or homosexuals and things like this. A blue bread brotherfuckers is trying to make our culture consciousness one by word alters our consciousness and our physical environment to accommodate them. Because believe it or not, homosexual, they will get rid of you too. Hitler did, right? Because you were too much human. You were too much human for them. You had too much positive, you know, matter. Okay? So, anyway. So, because they have to be, in order to function in their society, they have to be homosexual. They can't be bisexual. They're homosexual. They go all the way. Okay? They go all the way. Okay? But, and I do know that there are many homosexuals that are not, you know, they're born that way. Because it's just the way, you know, our world has two dual consciousness, like dual citizenship, right? Dual consciousness. Okay, so we're going to go to video 4. Assalamu alaikum.